Well, now, as of this June 15th, a month ago, now we're in crypto summer. Well, what's crypto summer? Crypto summer is the year leading up to the halving. So I would say that's a long-winded way of saying kind of between now and the halving in April, my guess is we drift upwards towards 50K.
When you look
April to the following April, that's where I think we could double or even treble into the fair value. By then will drift upwards toward that 100K, which is what I think is fair value for this halving.
Morgan Creek Capital founder and managing director Mark Yusko is 100% certain that we have now left crypto spring behind and summer is in full swing. In a Tuesday interview with the Paul Barron Network, Yusko describes the important features of the various seasons of the cryptocurrency market and outlines his outlook for Bitcoin and the overall cryptocurrency industry before and after the 2024 halving event. During the discussion, Yusko explains that the 4-year crypto cycles are real and quite effective at predicting price trajectories. In the months leading up to the halving, Yusko is predicting that Bitcoin will climb swiftly to around $50,000 per coin, its current fair value price according to Metcalfe's law. After the halving event, which will increase the Bitcoin stock-to-flow ratio and make the leading crypto asset scarcer and more valuable, Yusko is predicting further price increases to around $100,000 per coin, more than a 200% increase from Bitcoin's current price. According to the Morgan Creek Capital managing director, $100,000 can be considered Bitcoin's fair value price for this halving cycle. Yusko is not the only one predicting the beginning of crypto summer. In his recent interviews, popular macro guru Raoul Pal has also shared similar sentiments. On Wednesday, popular Bitcoin analyst Plan B also congratulated Bitcoin investors on surviving a terrible bear market. The tweet reads, "Congrats, you have survived the worst Bitcoin bear market ever." The tweet now has more than 7,000 likes and hundreds of comments, most of which agree with Plan B's assertion that the bear market is now fully behind us. In another tweet, the anonymous analyst and former institutional investor discusses the importance of the coming halving event and what it would mean for Bitcoin's price in the coming months. His tweet reads, "Few people realize that Bitcoin will not only be scarcer than gold, but also scarcer than real estate after the 2024 halving. The current Bitcoin stock-to-flow ratio is 55, and after the halving, it would be 110. I am certain of one thing: being the scarcest asset in the world will do something with value." Plan B and Mark Yusko seem to be on the same page, not just about the beginning of a bull market, but also about the importance of next year's halving event and how it would impact Bitcoin's price. We will now bring you clips from Yusko's interview with Barron. Please watch the video to the end, subscribe to the channel, and smash the like button if you find it informative. Also, ensure you drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
I mean, I hate to say it because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but I think we're really just getting started.
Yeah.
Look, the cyclicality of digital assets is real. It's this 4-year cycle. And why do we have a 4-year cycle? Fear and greed. And it's kind of baked into or coded actually into the way Bitcoin in particular works, right? You have these block rewards, the amount of money or the amount of Bitcoin that is rewarded to miners for securing the network. Every 4 years, that number gets cut in half. Now, whoever thought of this, whoever he, she, they, Satoshi happens to be, it's absolutely mad genius. Well, why is it mad genius? Well, it creates movement. Well, why does it do that? Well, if you think about it, the miners, their core costs are basically fixed: electricity and the machines. And so if suddenly your revenues were cut in half because the block rewards get cut in half, most of them will go out of business. So what has to happen? The price has to rise. So there's a built-in movement of the price. And once the price starts to rise, people start to follow, right? That's what traders do. They look for movement. Yep. And then that creates more movement. And so we get this exacerbation of the trend. Now, part of the problem is it starts undervalued because the beginning of the cycle post the halving usually occurs around, a period after the crash, the previous crash.
Right.
So we have crypto winter, prices fall, prices are undervalued, anticipation of the next halving comes along, and investors start accumulating assets. Well, what's an investor? An investor is someone who buys an asset that sells below its fair value. So today, fair value, depending on the model that you look at, the model I like, which is based on Metcalfe's law, says that fair value of Bitcoin is around 55K. Okay, so at 30K, we're below that. So as an investor,
Sure.
I like to buy assets that are below fair value. Well, then what will happen is as you get out of crypto winter into crypto spring, which a year ago we went into crypto spring, as we talked about, it's choppy, it's volatile. You kind of don't end up much different. I think over the past year, we're up about 50%. Now, that's a good move, but it's not the 100% off the cyclical low, but it's a nice move. So my guess is that between now and the halving in April, we'll drift slowly and calmly up toward that fair value. And then what happens is after the investors get their fill, buying the asset below fair value, then the speculators come in. Well, what's a speculator? Speculator is just the opposite of a hedger. Well, what's a hedger? A hedger is someone that has to sell something because they're producing it, like the miners, right? They're selling their Bitcoin as they produce it to pay for electricity and machines. Well, a speculator just takes the opposite side of that. They're not good, bad, or indifferent. They're just, there's a seller, there has to be a buyer. For every seller, there's a buyer. For every buyer, there's a seller. So that pushes us up above kind of fair value. Well, then what happens is we get the parabolic, crypto fall, kind of the Indian summer, the big move. And that's where the punters come in, right? Yeah. The really levered.
Yeah.
And they're going to push the price way above fair value. So I would say that's a long-winded way of saying kind of between now and the halving in April, my guess is we drift upwards towards 50K. From
when you look
April to the following April, that's where I think we could double or even treble into the fair value. By then will drift upwards toward that 100K, which is what I think is fair value for this halving.
Mark Yusko is predicting a $50,000 Bitcoin by next April and $100,000 Bitcoin by April 2025. And he is basing his prediction on the cyclicality of the cryptocurrency market and the behavior of various categories of investors at different points within each 4-year cycle. During the discussion with Barron, Yusko also discusses his views on BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF application, stating that the asset manager's close relationship with regulators might get it the spot Bitcoin ETF crown, even above others that have been around for much longer. He also talks about what he expects for the rest of this Bitcoin cycle and when he expects Bitcoin to hit the $1 million mark. Here are more clips from the interview.
The early adopter move is over, right? I mean, we're past the kind of 11% early adoption. You think about the S curve. You get the first 10, 11% over the first decade. You get the next 80% over the next decade. And then the maturity, after that. And so I think we're past early adoption. Now, part of the challenge is the law of large numbers, right? When we went from the first halving from 10 to 100, 10x move, okay? That was pretty easy because you're talking really tiny numbers, didn't need a lot of volume to get to $100 a coin. I mean, and then you went to 100 to 1,000, another 10x move. And that's a little harder, but still pretty easy. You go to 1,000 to 10,000. That was the last halving. That was tougher, although we went right through 10,000, right up to 20,000 before the crash. Well, this halving, I think, is 100,000 at fair value. So it's a 10x between halvings. Why 10x? There's lots of different reasons for why that works on the Metcalfe's law parabola, but let's just say we get to that 100,000 for fair value. Mm-hmm. It's a lot harder to go from 10,000 to 100,000 than it is from 1,000 to 10,000, right? Just need more people, more dollars. Yep. The market cap gets bigger. We're talking trillions, plural, as opposed to $500 billion. So I think it will be tougher to get the same kind of percentage move, but the total dollar move will be much bigger.
Yeah.
And that's where this supply demand comes in.
Exactly.
not if, but when, and I believe when BlackRock is awarded their crown and they become the king and they get the first Bitcoin ETF, even though they don't, I won't say deserve it in the sense that they were not doing the early adoption work. They were not, the ones there believing in it, but now they are part of the inner circle and they know who to influence. I won't say anything negative, but they know who to influence to get the job done. Yeah. And so I think they'll get the first one. Now, whether anyone else gets it, I don't know. I look at the gold ETF, right? The gold ETF delayed 4 years. 4 years we waited for the gold ETF. And then they gave it to one group. GLD took off. Now there are other gold ETFs that came along, right, but they're much smaller. GLD really is the axe. Sadly, cycles repeat. So we will have another bear market, right? After we run, because again, I say, it's just me, I say fair value for this halving sometime in 2024 is 100K. Okay, that's my view. Okay, I think we'll go far beyond that because greed and speculative fervor and leverage. Now, I don't think there'll be as much leverage this cycle, Paul, as there were in the last ones. Right. So could we get to 200K? Could we get to 250K? Tim Draper and I have talked about that 250 number as kind of half the value of gold. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. But then we'll have another
there's
crash.
Still a lot of room.
Yeah,
for sure.
But then think about it. The next halving, which is in 2028, I will argue that's another tenfold increase as we get broader adoption and we go up the Metcalfe's law curve. That takes us to $1 million a coin. You go back to the 13 bull market, we had like a 40x move. Mm-hmm. Then the 17 bull market, we had a 20x move. This time we probably have a 10x move. And the next one, we probably have a 5x move. So the order of magnitude in terms of total dollars is much bigger.
Sure.
But the multiple is smaller just because of the law of large numbers.
On Monday, British multinational bank Standard Chartered Bank increased its Bitcoin price forecast, citing increased miner profitability as one of the factors that could drive the price higher. In April, Standard Chartered predicted that Bitcoin could be trading for $100,000 per coin by the end of 2024. In its recent report, the bank moved that price prediction up to $120,000. It also predicts that Bitcoin could rise to $50,000 by the end of this year. We now think this estimate is too conservative, the report states, referring to the previous $100,000 prediction. And we, therefore, see upside to our end 2024 target. According to the report, miner profitability is one of the main factors that could drive Bitcoin prices upward. Increased miner profitability per Bitcoin mined means miners can sell less of their output while maintaining cash inflows, reducing net Bitcoin supply and thus pushing the prices higher. What are your thoughts on Yusko's, Plan B's, and Standard Chartered's price predictions for Bitcoin? Do you think we see $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2024 or early 2025 as they all predict? Please drop your thoughts, comments, and observations in the comments section below. If you are yet to do so, please subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and smash the like button. Thanks for watching.